thrilling finale. Very thrilling all the way up until the very end. Kept us guessing. I think the producers kept us guessing there, and shame on them. I mean, I watched last week's and I was like, there's no way Rachel's going to win, because why would they cut this episode in half and then the second half be boring and straightforward if Rachel just wins? And our guest today, well, first, Ashleigh Smith, our producer and forever co-host. We know no one else. It's always been Ashleigh.
It's always been me.
Since the beginning of time.
Nobody
until
else.
The end of time. And I got a text message from our guest here, Owen Knight, runner-up of season 43.
Hello. What's the text I sent you?
The coronation episode. You watched the episode and then you texted me and said, well, that wasn't a coronation and we didn't see who had won yet. And so I was like, even thinking, okay, we have some crazy twist. And Sam put in a lot of work at the final tribal council.
Sure
I texted you and was like, are they going to like that shade he's throwing at Rachel? Or is the jury not going to like it? Apparently they didn't like it.
Not too much,
Oh.
but I thought it seemed effective. Like, props to the editors for making it feel a lot closer than the final vote tally. I texted you, my wife and I were talking, and we were saying, like, is Sam going to screw around and win this whole thing? Like, it really felt like
That's what I
momentum was
thought
going
too.
his way. Like,
It really did.
I was a little shocked at the final vote count, honestly. I thought Rachel had it, but Sam put up a hell of a fight. I was very impressed.
Yeah. And as I was watching the episode and then realizing that, and then also getting a text from our friend Ethan Zahn, he was like, how come the evolution of fire making hasn't come to be where like Rachel gets to choose? She knows Sam's not great at fire, doesn't want him to practice, and just go to Sam and be like, yo, Sam, I'm taking you because I don't want you to win fire and put that on your resume. Now he's not practicing. Then at final tribal council or at the fire making tribal council makes him look like a total chump. Like, how come that hasn't happened? Is that too rude of a thing to do in the new era?
I don't know. That's the next evolution. I actually had another friend text me that same idea, not a Survivor friend, but I love hearing that savagery coming from Ethan of all people. He seems like such a sweet guy, hero tribe material. And here he is coming up with this devious plan to snow the poor fire loser. Yeah, I guess some people think that might be too mean or like would maybe hurt their chances if that person does lose and they've lost that vote. But that would be diabolical. I would love to see that one day. And another iteration I thought might happen was maybe if Sam had won the final challenge, he challenges Rachel and then loses at fire. We haven't seen that yet, to where someone takes off the necklace and shoots himself in the foot that way. But yeah, they made it. They made it exciting, certainly. But that would have been next level savagery from Rachel.
Yeah, I thought, and I think Rachel actually would have gotten props for it from this jury. I think that she had led the way, and that would have just been like, I think it would have been just like one more jaw-dropping moment from her where people would have been like, oh, it's a lock now. Like, it would have been crazy if she's like, listen, Sam, I can't have you ticking that box. And then now, oh my gosh.
That would have been wild.
See, this is how I watch all the episodes. Owen is just like thinking, it's like the same way I gamble. Like, I envision the parlay, the 85-way parlay hitting. And I'm just like, how can it not?
It's too
like,
juicy to not hit.
It's too juicy, and it just makes so much sense, because if he's throwing 400 yards, then the receiver's definitely catching for 180.
Easily.
You guys are losing me.
They're not rushing hardly at all if they're throwing the ball that much. So we got to put it under, but they're going to definitely score over time. And then none of it happens. Sure. But that's how I watch Survivor. I'm
That's
just
how I
like
watch
making
Survivor
it
too.
juicier and juicier and juicier in my head. I'm like, what could have made this extra special and diabolical? And by special, I mean diabolical.
I love it. That's the villain in you showing up all these years later, I guess. I love it. I love it.
It never dies. It never dies.
Guess not.
Owen, you were famously a runner-up on 43. And Teeny talked about this moment of reliving it, that moment of losing fire in her head over and over and over. And I live a lot of Survivor over and over and over and over. Like, I should have won 4 times. I played 4 times. How could I have not?
Obviously.
You are a runner-up here, and pretty recently. How do you feel watching these episodes now? Is there a part of you that is sad inside when but like for real, like,
Yeah.
because I have those moments. Like, how hard was it for you to watch this?
Certainly. Yeah. I mean, this year or this season, not so much.
Okay.
Watching 45 with Jake 1 year after my season, that was like stabs in the heart over and over because I could truly empathize with what he'd been going through. Sue, this year's runner up, 0 vote finalist. Obviously, we're in different stages in our life and we aren't kind of the same archetype, and she had a little bit more control in the game than I did. So it wasn't quite the same narrative arc. So I didn't connect on that same level, but there are certainly flashes every episode where it takes you back to the beach. And I'm sure you've had similar experiences with all 4 of your seasons to where it's like, oh, I remember when that happened to me or one of my allies. And it really is like you think you're over it. And then all of a sudden you see something and it just triggers this like wave of memories. And yeah, overall, fortunately, this was a really fun season for me to watch. I didn't get too sad, but I do feel for people at the after show who lost and have to sit there while, everything's happening. They're popping champagne for Rachel and you're just there like, oh my God, like, can I just go home? Like, this sucks. So those are the people I feel
that's
worse.
the feeling, right?
Yeah, it's pretty miserable.
We talked to Carla, was that last season or 2 seasons ago? And we asked her about that because I think, as diabolical as I am, nothing is as cruel as forcing the 2 losers to sit there and try and drink champagne and put a fake smile on their face for their buddy at the end, because you're truly not that happy for them in that moment. How can you be? Like, and then you have to like make niceties with everybody, and everybody's telling you good game.
You did
and
good, yeah.
You did good, kid.
You
Here,
should be proud.
I got a medal for you somewhere. Let me see.
Yeah.
Like, how should that change? Because before, like, you had 6 months to process. You could be like, you could do it in the comfort of your own home or the privacy of like whatever soundproof room you'd need to do all the screaming,
and
whatever,
sobbing and rocking back and forth.
Sobbing. Yeah, for sure. Like I think I personally, and I don't know, I think as a 5-time player, if I went back 5 times, I had to sit through that shit, I would probably be like, fuck this, and just like bounce. I'd just be like,
fair.
Take me back to
I wouldn't blame you.
Ponderosa.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think my solution, I saw on Survivor South Africa, I don't know if you've checked that out, but season 9, they did a really good season.
That's illegal to watch in the United States. Of course, I'm not watching that.
Of course not.
Ooh.
But they did their after show, I think like 24 hours after Final Tribal.
Yeah.
So I think at least gave the losers the time to shower, get a meal, like breathe
Sleep.
for a minute.
Yes.
But from the production side of things, it doesn't force them to pay for the whole big rigmarole and the whole, live reunion show. So I think that could be a little bit more of a humane solution, just give people a little more time. But also I get it. I know Jeff is salivating over like the immediate, rawness of it. And I get from a TV perspective that it can be good, but I think most of the time it leads to the 2 losers being, rightfully
fake.
Very sad and fake and just like.
But they're being fake because they realize that they don't want to be the bitter Betty. It's like, we want your true, you're not getting honesty from them in that moment.
Exactly.
You're getting like, oh man, it seemed close, but I'm happy. I'm happy.
I'm so happy for
them.
you guys.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool when I see that their life is way easier than mine now because of all the money they just got. That's awesome I think I'm happy for them.
Yeah, good for them. Can I have some pizza, please? My tummy hurts.
Pass the pizza. I can't have champagne. It'll make me sick.
Yeah. Speaking of Carla, that just reminded me of at our after show, Carla procured like round 2 of pizza and she handed me a box and I opened it up and then everyone started grabbing the pizza out of the box. Like Carla, Sammy, Cody, they're all grabbing my pizza and I just slam it shut and I turn around and I go, this is mine. I was just like not in the mood to share pizza with them at that point since none of them had written my name down. I was still pretty
let's
raw.
Break bread.
Yeah,
let's break bread now.
Let's
after
share
you guys
some
all host me.
and chuckle about our memories of the island together. Yeah, not in the mood in that moment, but yeah, it's a time. So I feel for Sam and Sue, but from the bit I caught, it seemed like they were really giving Sue her flowers for making it to the final 3 as a 59-year-old. I think the statistic is something like only 5 women over 50 have played, or maybe only 5 women in their 50s have made Final Tribal. It's a crazy low percentage. So she really hustled. And I was saying this last week. I think Sue actually could have done really, really well in like old school Survivor. Like I think she could have like won an
Season
older
2.
season. Yeah,
Oh.
seriously. Like she's a loyal ally. She collects information. She knows how to talk to people. Like she's not some totally hapless player. And I think I wrote her off at parts in the season. And then Sam, I got like his Final Tribal I thought was better than Rachel's, if I'm being objective. Like I think he got more of those zingers in. Their sparring I thought was really good. But yeah, I will reach out to them and just be like, hey, if you need to like talk to someone about how crappy that experience is, like I'm all ears.
Yeah. You're going to take that liability on.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I like welcoming the losers to the club. It's weird because like with the new era, it is a kind of a unique subgroup we have. So I'm happy to be their ambassador.
47, best season of the new era.
I'd say so. What do you think?
I watched the season different. Like for me, they all seem like kind of the same, but like in a good way. Like you always get the gameplay. As long as there's a character or two that's just like a complete wackadoo, like I'm
Rome.
happy. Yeah. Rome was that this season. Wish he would have stayed around a little longer for a little bit more of the feuding with certain players. But other than that, like I really like, I see these listings and these rankings of seasons. I'm like, I don't even know how are these being quantified and why are they so universally the same? Like to me, it's unless it's a terrible season, are good seasons that I enjoy. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't even put a ranking on any of these seasons, the new era, or any in general, except for like the dark ages of Survivor. Yeah. The 4 that I was on.
Those are the top 4 and the rest, whatever. Who cares?
Yes, exactly. Top 4 right there. No, and then the dark ages of Survivor where like, season 11-ish or whatever. Yeah.
Ashleigh, what do you think?
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it, I feel weird saying it's the best season of the new era because it feels like we're not done
recency
yet.
bias.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's too early. I think so far there's been like, they have some of the best episodes of the new era, like Operation Italy was great, like fantastic. Episode. It was really fun. But yeah, it just feels weird to be like, this is the best season of the new era because next season could have even. So I just feel like so far we're on a good track. I think. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
sorry, my
back.
Dog just unplugged everything right in front of my face because I guess she disagrees.
Wow.
Yeah, she disagreed. So, but I agree with myself and I think we're almost there. I think Jeff, if he just continues to do the same recipe, just like bump it up a little bit better, and the casting just keeps doing what they're doing, I think we can have probably the best season, maybe next season.
Next season? So you're saying that...
Yeah, that's my prediction.
This is fine, but next season's the best?
Yeah, this is like like an appetizer.
Yeah, I like it. Owen, you talk about Sue being like one of 5 women over 50 to make finals. That wasn't mentioned, but Rachel's 4 wins was mentioned multiple times.
Mm-hmm. Crazy impressive. I'm so impressed by that. And I think it was probably also sobering for her to realize like, oh, wait, the most recent time that happened with Chrissy, she didn't win. So like, I'm not guaranteed to win because of this, but I mean, it's hard to win all those challenges. And I think she showed a lot of versatility with what she did. But I will say this, I don't know if you had thoughts on this, but this Final 4 challenge being kind of a normal challenge, I thought that was kind of odd. Like, I know we don't do hand on a hard idol anymore, but it wasn't like one of the same ones we've been seeing. So I kind of
a super challenge with a water slide and stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't anything like that. It was just like they did the thing and then they did a puzzle. And so it felt kind of similar. And I guess that was good for Rachel because she's a beast at puzzles. But yeah, she's incredible. She's in rare company with that. And I'm just very impressed. I mean, there were times on my season, just because like the strategic elements of my game were going so poorly, I was like, well, I could maybe tie the record. Like once I had won 2, I was like, okay, I need to win 3 of the last 4 or 5 and maybe I'll tie it. Like in that, it's something you think about. So yeah, I'm so impressed by her. I think she's a great winner. I mean, she really pulled off kind of the underdog arc that I was hoping to try to do when you lose.
Crazy underdog
Crazy
dog arc where like she got all the votes at the end. Like that is like, to me, that is insane, the turnaround.
Yeah. To go from getting blindsided 3 times to then having like the threat as the label as biggest threat, clutching immunities, pulling off a crazy idol play, and taking home 7 votes. Like that's the pinnacle of the underdog game. And it just goes to show that like no matter how bleak it might look at the merge, like there's always a chance. So mad respect to her. I think she's going to go down as a great winner, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I just like, I was watching her and the turnaround. You're like, wow, that's crazy. And then you hear Sam at Final Tribal Council being like, I was on the right side of the votes every time. I knew I always voted exactly right. I didn't need any of these advantages. And then I started being like, whoa, okay, Sam, maybe you had some eyes on everything more than we even gave you credit for.
Yeah, I thought he may have won the game with that answer. That was because Rachel said something to the effect of like, oh, you weren't a threat. Like people weren't targeting you. And he's like, actually, I got 10 votes over 4 tribals. Like he had that in his back pocket, ready to whip it out. And I thought it worked. Like the jury even seemed to be like, oh, wow. Like, I don't know. I thought that if he had pulled it off, that was his like winning moment. And obviously it didn't play out that way, but I felt a momentum shift there. Like that was really when I was like, oh, wow, like he's a serious contender. And voting correctly every time, even though you're on the outs, like that speaks to a social game. I think that speaks to people being willing to work with him and like plant the seeds for maybe a future move together. So yeah, I was very impressed when he whipped out the receipts on that one.
Yeah, I was too. I mean, he didn't always vote correctly, I guess, when Rachel played her idol. And that's the thing. I think that's where you can get caught out and do a lot of damage to yourself when you lie at tribal council and somebody fact checks it a little bit. Like it does so much more damage. Like everything could be right. And maybe the jury looks at each other and like, what about the one where Rachel played it? And then everybody's like, oh no, he's probably been lying the whole time.
That's what I was waiting for. Because I was like, I feel like no one mentioned it at tribal, but if like Sam had control of the game a bit in the very beginning, and then he slowly lost control towards the end. And then Rachel kind of did the opposite. She was kind of just behind the scenes, and then she started gaining control. And so when Sam was mentioning it, I'm like, come on, Rachel, come on. That's why I was so worried for her at the end, because she wasn't doing like the best job defending herself. And I'm like, come on, get him. And
it's hard.
It must be.
Because if you fight back too much, it looks bad. And then you get too defensive. Like I remember there was a moment where on Blood versus Water where everyone that wasn't with me was like, let's tell Monica that Tyson's been calling her his lapdog. And then Jeff brought it up at tribal council. He's like, so these people are saying that you keep saying that Monica's your lapdog. And I was like, I'm not. And he's like, that's all? I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, if I defend myself too strongly, then I look guilty.
Right.
And if I just let it roll off my shoulders and be like, wrong, then it's like no big, it's not going to do any damage, and it will probably help. And if it doesn't help, it's the only thing that would. So like
the opposite of court, right?
Yeah.
At Survivor Tribal, just go, nope. No. But then when you're in court, you don't go, wrong, Your Honor.
Yeah, that's wrong. So that's like that, and that you feel all of that. Like it's like there's such a delicate balance with your words, and everybody is feeling raw and vulnerable, and everybody needs something different on the jury. Like some people need to pump their own game still, and they're just like, "Hey, I did the move," and you're like, "You're on the jury." Like,
but yes,
so
you
what?
did. Good job.
Yes, you did, and I liked it.
And you were the biggest threat. That's why I had to vote you out. You big threat. You,
exactly.
Like Todd was so good at that. For example, that was his big thing, and that was tricky. And I think I agree with you, Ashleigh. I really think Rachel could have like fought back a little more. And I think there's 2 big dynamics there. Number one, I think she went in as the favorite, and as the favorite, and Tyson, you would probably know this better than me. You probably don't want to come off as like an arrogant prick who thinks they have it in the bag.
You don't. You can't.
Right.
That's the thing, is like, even going into Final Tribal Council, like I remember in interviews, they were like, what do you have to do to win? I was like, don't be arrogant. And they're like, right. Can you do that? I was like, I've never tried. I will try. I'm going to try. I'm going to try
today. Today will be the first time I try. Hey, it worked.
Oh my God.
And then the other part that neither Tyson nor I can speak to, but I'm sure there's like some gender dynamic to it too, where if as a woman you're fighting back more, you could be perceived as being bitchy or whatever, versus like Sam, he's fair. Like spunky and, scrappy underdog. So I think there's like a delicate balance she had to do, and clearly it worked. But I could see there was some, I imagine she was pulling some punches at times to not just totally dunk on him, which I think was like kind of a calculated risk, but it paid off.
Yeah. And I you're right. And it's not just the gender dynamic or anything. It's like personality and how you went through the game and your interpersonal relationships and connections. And it's all different. It's like when all the people who are going on season 50 call me and ask me how to play on season 50, I can't tell them how to play because they're not me. I know how I would play because I know what people perceive me to be and all of those things. But someone else is totally, totally, totally different. And so you have to treat people differently based off of who you are as a person, what gender you are, how you stack up in the totem pole of people in the, like everything is different. And I think like if you're in the driver's seat or if you're going in as the favorite, you kind of got to duck and minimize like your alphaness a little bit and be a little humble and grateful and show your gratitude for being there and being in front of the jury to begin with. And then someone like Sam, who's fighting for something, can afford to be scrappier. Like he's kind of, throwing shit against the wall in a sense because like he's going for broke.
Right. He has nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. Yeah. And I really respect Sam's performance there, because I wish that's how my final tribal had gone. I was definitely like too like self-deprecating, like hedging. Like I did, because I knew my jury, like it's no secret that the final 3 of 43 was like considered to be like the weaker players, right? And we took out the bigger threats. And I knew that there was a certain level of ego that I needed to contend with there. But I think I just miscalculated. So I really think Sam did a nice job putting it out there and just going balls to the wall. And it made me remember, I think actually one of the smartest things Gabler did on my season is that before Final Tribal, me, him, and Cassidy at breakfast had kind of agreed to do like kind of a clean Final Tribal. And I think that it was his idea and it benefited him the most. And in hindsight, I wish I had fought against that, but I didn't want to be a dick and just be like, no, this kooky old man at this, so it's just like, it's hard because like one other element, Tyson, to what you were saying about just like how you present yourself. I think it's also like how people have perceived you up to that point. And you don't want to totally rock their world and give them this new version of you and then be like, wait, was he bullshitting for the past 39 days? Or is this the real him? Or like, what's the deal?
Yeah. Or is he just lying right now to try and curry votes when he could have like done something in the game? Like it's true. It is a balance.
Yeah.
But
and that's
would you have done something differently? What would you have done differently there?
Yeah, well, and the part of the reason I can sleep at night is because I don't think it would have changed the outcome very much.
Okay, but good. Yeah. Tell yourself what you got to tell yourself.
Just like Teeny. I love that from Teeny, by the way. Just like, I'll just pretend I would have won if I made it to the end. But no, I definitely would have come out hotter and just been like, all you motherfuckers wanted me out from the merge. You voted out all my allies. I had shields in front of me that worked, and I'm here and you're not. Like, I wish I had been a little bit more just like direct about it rather than just like, it didn't start great and now I'm here. Like, I don't know. I just didn't want it. Like, being braggadocious is not really something I'm super comfortable with. And I didn't have a ton to brag about. And I think that's where I needed to like calculate how much I could brag about what I had to brag about versus just like looking at the sum of the parts and being like, yeah, like my game wasn't that great, but it is what it is. And like I said, I can still deal with it, but it is like always fun and interesting and sometimes like just like traumatic watching finales, just because like Final Tribal is one of those things that I don't know about you, Tyson, the first time you played, if you ever thought about what you might do when you got there. But for me, that was something that was such a foreign concept to me. It almost felt like on day 25 or whatever, I was like, oh shit, like I'm gonna have to do this tomorrow. And I've had some random ideas about it, but I hadn't like put in a strategy or thought deeply about how to approach it. And I think that's a totally different skill set that Rachel, Todd, yourself, like you're really able to find that balance of, figuring out what they want to hear, how to present yourself in an accurate and yet maybe like in the best light possible. And it's a real skill. I'm so impressed whenever I see someone pull off a good final tribal. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the first time I played, there was a moment where I had a stranglehold on the game in Token Chains where I was like, my alliance is in power. My group isn't going anywhere. And we got blindsided. But in that moment, I was so clearly the favorite of the group I had that I was like, I just got to get to the end. I'm going to win. Like, it's not going to, if I get to the end, I'm going to win. And so I didn't think of that. But then, Blood versus Water, yes, but the game had also molded what I was going to say. It was like I just knew I couldn't be so arrogant. I had to let my guard down a little bit, be fun, be funny, be direct, and not too long-winded. I think a lot of people go on too long. Winners at War, I remember Sophie at some point was like, I've been here so long that whoever just gives the shortest answers from here on out is probably going to win my vote. She said something like that. She just stop.
Wasn't she violently ill too? I feel like I heard that.
Yeah. She missed a tribal council because she was so violently ill. I remember getting up in the middle of the night at Ponderosa just to go get some leftover pizza and walking along the beach and just seeing Sophie in her underwear on all fours, just puking her guts out on the porch with Kim Spradlin holding her hair out of her face.
Oh my gosh.
And just being like, I'm going to try and cram some more pizza down my gullet. I'll be right back.
Y'all want any? Good?
Yeah, you guys need anything?
There might be some brownies left over there. I can grab you one if you want.
She was so sick. She got on the boat the one time and laid down. They made a little bed for her on the boat because she's like, I can't sit up on a boat for that long. That's going to be horrendous. It was 45-minute choppy boat ride to tribal council. She gets on, she lays on the boat, and she's just like, nope.
This ain't happening.
Yeah. And then I didn't text her for a long time after that. And then I finally texted her. I was like, I thought it would be weird if I texted and you were dead. So I didn't. I wanted you to reach out first.
Oh my God.
Funny joke. I thought it was funny. She apparently seemed to laugh on the other end. She's like, that was really smart. Yeah. But so sick. I don't think I've ever seen anybody that sick. As sick as she was, I've never seen anybody that sick. So, so we get Rachel winning this immunity. She crushed the puzzle. It was Sam. I remember watching Sam. How could he not have won that?
Yeah,
he had such a huge lead going into that. And the puzzle didn't seem that difficult, but also I don't know what they show. When I played Survivor, you saw that whole puzzle completed, but the whole puzzle, maybe a picture of it, maybe the actual thing dangling there. In your mind, you take the shape, the footprint of it, the pieces a little bit, you got a little bit to work with. If he's seeing that, he should have definitely won.
So actually, I can speak to that because we had the same bat at our final 6 and we did not see it before.
At all. Not a picture of it, not a shape or an outline or anything. Nothing. Just that it's a bat.
Just that
she
it's
didn't know which way the wings went or anything.
I had the wings opposite. The feet, the first 2 pieces, I had them backwards for the first 5 minutes I was doing it. And I felt like such an idiot when I had to flip it around.
You should feel like an idiot because Rachel got the ears wrong
too.
For
a second.
It looks like it's pretty easy to get everything kind of mixed up a little bit on the back.
They do that on purpose.
One. Yeah. Those sneaky sneaks.
Yeah. They always, I say that all the time. I'm going to say it again. People on the podcast will be like, you say that all the time. On the challenge, I was constantly looking for the little sneaky, tricky trick that they do on the puzzles. They don't do that haven't even thought of that on the challenge. But on Survivor, every single puzzle, there's a tricky trick to it. And you know that like if it seems straightforward, you're missing something.
Yeah.
So like even just looking at that, you're like, oh, they can flop so many things, so many different directions, and things almost fit, but they don't quite.
Yeah. And then the challenge, they just buy a Sudoku book from the airport and print it out.
Exactly. Print it out on little magnets things.
Yeah.
And then don't even bother to read the rules themselves so they can explain it to you.
Right. Oh my God. That was absurd. We don't need to relive that for you. But yeah.
No, that's more painful.
Too.
Trauma.
Yeah.
Speaking of trauma.
Definite trauma. So she comes back and everyone's in the water. And Rachel's so open about just like, hey, we don't need to beat around the bush. She's like, Tina's like, can I talk to you? She's like, well, I'll just tell you guys. Like,
yeah.
I'm going to save myself some time here instead of going off on all these one-on-one journeys for the next 6 hours.
I have to say really quick how happy I am to see Sue get in that water, wash off that dirt. She looked amazing in the first tribal. I was like, she looks like 20 years younger when she had less dirt on her face. I just want her to know that.
Yeah.
She does look like she's in her 40s when she doesn't have dirt on her face. So
glowing.
Like the dirt aged the poor lady. So I was like, wow, she looked good.
Yeah.
Is that
she did
Sue?
look good.
Yeah. The bow in her hair. Yeah.
Yeah, she looks so cute.
Yeah, she did. Do you like this? What do you take from this exchange? Because there was a couple of things. There was Sam was like, "Oh, you're gonna let me make fire." Like I thought he should have. Like, why didn't he keep that up all day?
Right.
Like he could have, if Sue or if he would have hid to make fire, been like, I don't got to practice. Like all of that would have been brilliant.
Oh, and it clearly was getting to Teeny too. I loved that little back and forth in the water.
Let's spin her around a little bit more.
Yeah.
Poor Teen.
Poor Teen. I felt for Teeny there. It's just like she seemed like she was just at her wit's end when it came down to Sam. But I respect Rachel for just ripping off the Band-Aid. Like on my season, it was definitely like a debate as to whether Gabler or me or maybe even Cassidy would go to fire against Jesse. And then I think for Cassidy, it did kind of yank her around a bit more. Like she could have saved herself some trouble, I think. Because then it got to the point to where Jesse planted the seed in her head. It's like, well, really, you should be the one that tries to take me out, which was kind of his Hail Mary kind of play. And I think Rachel was just like, I'm just going to tell you, kick my feet up and I'll see what happens. And I respect it. And I respect that she said rightfully, like, I don't need to put myself in a fire. Are you fucking crazy? Like, why would I have to do that?
Yes.
And I appreciate
I've said that a lot of times. The final immunity should be more powerful and whatever supersede the going into fire.
100%.
Like you earned it. Like there should be no world where putting yourself into fire after winning that, after dictating who gets to make fire, like you're penalized for that. It's just
it was silly to me. And I've realized my jury didn't actually think that. I think that was just the story they put out to avoid publicly saying that they just straight up liked Gabler better than Cassidy. And I think that they were trying to be nice, basically, but then it created this whole dialogue about, well, the jury says Cass should have gone to fire, but that wouldn't have made a difference. I don't think it would have made a difference. So it's I respect them for trying to be nice, but that's what they get for hedging. Is like if they had just told the truth and just said like, hey, Owen didn't have a strategic game and we like Gabler better than Cassidy. The end. Like it was cut and dry, pretty simple, and then the discourse would have been over. But yeah, I do think for like Natalie on Winners at War, it maybe could have made sense. Like with the Edge of Extinction, I think there's a chance. And
I think Natalie would have won had
she taken out Tony.
Had she taken out Tony.
Yeah, I think so too. And for me, like, I do think like I would have taken off the necklace to try to beat Jesse. And I do think I would have beat him, but I don't think it necessarily would have won me the game. So there's another reason I can sleep at night is because like, I think it would have helped and maybe I could have got a vote or two, but I don't think it would have totally altered the outcome. But I'll never know. And I don't want to know because I'm content with this version of events. Thinking that it wouldn't have changed things.
You'll get your million at some point
one
or
day.
another.
One day.
Yeah. That's how we found ourselves on the show to begin with, because we believed that there was a chance that we could get there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the fire practice, we have Rachel helping Teeny. What was there a sliver of you that thought that she was also going to help Sam in that moment? Like she looked at Sam like she was going to help him.
I think she really considered it. I think she genuinely felt bad when she walked up. She's like, "How's it going?" He's like, "Not good." Like he looked so defeated and
so defeated.
Rachel seems like a nice person, and I'm sure that tugged at her heartstrings. Like we saw last week when Sue was digging around in the dirt for the idol. She was like, "Sue, stop."
She's like, "Please stop.
I have it." Like, so clearly she's an empathetic, nice person, but I don't think she would have done it. But you saw that flash where she's like,
"Oh, I saw this flash for sure." Yeah. I thought the next scene was going to be her helping, and I thought it was going to be a hero edit cut where it was like her being too good-hearted to even let Sam, the person she wants to lose, be so devastated. And he pulled himself up by his bootstraps.
He sure did.
Sure did.
And it got me. It worked. I thought the editing was effective. Like I thought the letters from home were really sweet. It felt very authentic, like his confessional by the water where he's choking up saying he's like worried he's going to look like an idiot, which he would have, by the way.
Yes.
Because how do you not,
he would have,
how do you not,
to not
buy
get
a flame off Amazon? It's like $7. Like, I don't know. He's a busy guy with the NFL season, I guess, but golly, dude. But I'm glad for his sake, the wind blew in his direction. But yeah, that really got me. And that's the first moment I was like, wait a gosh darn second. Does Sam have a chance here? Like, is this going to happen? And then the fire challenge itself, like whatever, like I don't love that it's a permanent fixture of the game or whatever, but like that was thrilling TV. I don't care what you say. Like that was exciting. Like
it was.
I thought it was edge of your seat. Were y'all pretty pumped up watching that? Like that was as dramatic as it gets, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's as dramatic as it gets. It's as dramatic as making fire against another person making fire gets.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure in real time it was.
There's more dramatic stuff that could happen or has happened. But as far as fire making goes, I personally don't love the fire making in general. I just think it makes people target the strongest person 1 week earlier. Like it's so it's
like back everything.
Just pushes everything back. So when that's wasn't the goal of it to begin with. The goal was to give the strong people a chance there, the front runner at 5 a chance, but instead they just get rid of them at 6. But I also thought it was thrilling. And I wanted to talk about the build up to the fire. So before a fire, I like hats off to Teeny, like talking about Sam and her their one-sided rivalry with Sam. It was just like, because I'd seen people on Twitter talking about it and being like, "Oh, what's Teeny have against guys that all like?" And then even Teeny was like, he's just probably popular in high school, so I don't like him. Like I can't. And so like the fact that Teeny admits all of this there and that they projected their insecurities on him and all of that stuff, I just thought was like really, really like refreshing of Teeny and big, and like showing that she's just constantly thinking and being honest. Like so honest.
I
very much agree with that.
Yeah.
Because like I know like when I was growing up, I was a very shy kid, never talked much, and I was extremely jealous of the kids who were able to do it super easily, able to, I don't know, do sports and become basically the star of the school, and it was one of those things that you bury down and kind of repress because it's kind of lame to be like, yeah, of course I'm jealous of the famous football star from my school, but mad respect for Teeny for actually just being like, yeah, I have been losing my cool over this man because of how I felt growing up. And I feel like that's going to help so much outside of Survivor, because that's one thing we talked about it like either last week or the week prior, how a lot of the tricking and the secrets against like Teeny so that she would just spread like nonsense to everyone would kind of mess up with her head, especially coming out of Survivor. But I feel like this is one good lesson to learn for her, just to be like, okay, take a breather and see what I'm personally holding against this person and see if maybe I'm in the wrong here, or maybe that past trauma is affecting how I'm building those social relationships or how, that kind of thing. So I really, really respect her for taking a moment and just acknowledging that, because people were dogging her on like Reddit and stuff about it. And so I'm just really glad that she was like, here's what's going on. I know it's insane, but here's what's crazy. I need to work on me.
Yeah.
Well,
I need to work on it.
And as it was happening too, like I am more akin to Sam as a Survivor player. So I was like, oh, sometimes I just like don't have a chance because something, all of a sudden this archetype that I am is just like not received. So, but that's however, like people are pushing against that. There's like, and that's what Survivor is beautiful, is because you're not just navigating chess pieces. You're navigating, like you've had 30 years of life. I've had 45 years of life that you have no idea what I've had. And you're trying.
Yep. Every chess piece is sentient and has their own baggage with them coming in the game. Yeah. But I agree. Like Teeny showed a ton of maturity there. I was really impressed. I like tweeted out, it's like Teeny's so eloquent. Like especially like, absolutely. I forgot they're only 23. Like that's like a child. Like truly, like
I wasn't very smart at 23.
Yeah, I could not have said anything remotely that cogent at 23.
Basically dumb.
Yeah. Same here. And I was very impressed, and it was funny too. Like I'm a big Teeny fan. Like I thought Teeny was getting the 0 vote finalist kind of Charlie Brown type edit, and I mean they did, but I guess the Charlie Brown like Lucy ended up being the wind instead of the jury. But I was just so empathetic to what they were going through, but I think they've really took it on the chin and will come out of this like with a positive experience on it. But one of my friends texted me just like in the closing after the fire challenge, just she's talking about like, I'm gonna relive this for forever, and my friend just said what they meant was, I'm going to be talking to my therapist about this every session for the rest of my life, which valid, totally.
Very valid.
Especially just like, unlucky. Like that, like
that was so unlucky. It was all the wind, man.
I wish Teeny had stood up and like blocked the wind, I guess maybe could have been the only thing to do there, but I would have panicked too. Like that's bad luck. But
I was watching when I watched a fire challenge in real life the one time, the wind was also moving the flame. And I was like, in that moment, I would stick my hands in the fire and move the fire where it needed to go for the wind to hit. I'd burn my hands. Like, I think that would also give you like some power in the jury. Be like, I Supermaned the fire and I have bandages on my hands and we'll probably have to have skin grafts.
You just like grab it
to win this game.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like,
so that'd be cool.
Rob putting his family on his back, Tyson putting his hands in the fire. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Jeff would go bananas for that. Can you imagine Jeff seeing someone like grab their stack and pull it over?
Yeah.
He would have just handed you the check right then and there.
I for sure would have cupped it and pulled it back and burned my hands a bit. I also wanted to share something since we're on Teeny. Teeny, we see she loses fire here, and they say like this moment will haunt me for the rest of my life, all of that stuff. And I also was like, if I were in that moment, even when I was in that moment in Tocantins, I didn't recognize that those moments would haunt me forever, like that. And they do. Like heroes versus villains, you're like, what could have been? Like, what could have been had I just like had my eyes a little more open or stuck to the plan or pivoted a little because the move was risky or whatever it is. And I wasn't thinking that in that moment ever. Like, not until years later was I like, this is haunting. But Teeny immediately recognizes it. Like, but I think that is because Teeny has been such a lifelong fan. I don't know if they've listened to all the podcasts and heard all the stories and that is the reason, or if they just instantly recognize like this is something I will always look back on and be like, damn it. But Teeny did write me, and a lot of contestants have written me before they've been contestants as fans of the show.
Oh, wow.
And I don't always see them. But then as they become come on, on the show.
And they get that check mark.
They get that check mark, or there's some rapport, or I'm covering a podcast where I'm recognizing their name, and then I DM them, and I'm like, oh, they DM'd me 4.5 years ago.
Wow.
And Teeny said, "Happy birthday, Mr. Tyson. I love you."
Aww.
That's awesome.
Teeny is so cool.
So I
love that.
I wrote them back. I wrote like 2 weeks ago when I saw it. After a 4.5 year wait, I wrote back a birthday message from 4 years ago. Love you too, Teeny.
Aww.
And so fun little interaction. And that happens a lot, honestly. Like I see many contestants, and I get on and DM them, and only to see that they DM'd me 5 years ago to ask me the best way to get on Survivor or something. I was like, well, I wish I had a hand in it now. I could have helped, but
and then
looks
you're
like you did it on your own.
The kid did it. Look at that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good for you, kid, who's now an adult. Like, I had no part in that, but I'm proud of you. Yeah.
No past messages from Owen, who in pre-game and even through the season, I heard multiple times there was a Tyson-esque quality to Owen. Or maybe I have an Owen-esque quality to me.
What a compliment towards me. My goodness.
I believe people did say that. I did hear that. I think that our sarcastic, pessimistic sense of humor was similar in some situations.
Yeah, I do remember that. And I always thought that was funny because I don't like, you were the college swimmer, pro cyclist. And to me, I'm much more self-deprecating, whereas you're more like the confident, dry. But I think people thought our voices maybe sounded a little similar.
Yes, that's what it was. That's what I think. That's what it was. Is our monotoneness in our delivery.
Yep.
That could have been what it was. Whatever it is, we're brothers.
Indeed. My coolest one with that is Austin messaged me when he found out, like when my cast leaked on Inside Survivor or whatever. And he's like, hey, dude, like, I'm in the process. I'm so excited to watch you. And there was like a little bit more exposition there. But at the end, he's like, I just hope people like you because then maybe they'll like me too. And it was really wholesome. And then same thing happened. I saw he got on the show and I went to his profile and there it was. I was like, oh my God, like it's a really cool feeling. And it's like, I don't know, like, the people can clown on the new era a lot because like there are so many super fans, but I really do think it adds to the experience with the community, and like there's
definitely adds to the community. It definitely, because you're already celebrating a commonality and celebrating Survivor.
Yeah. And I think there's definitely some little sibling energy that has brought us together too, because a lot of the players who played 39 days like to put us in our place and remind us that we played 66% of the Survivor that they did. So we're kind
of I've never said 66%.
No, you've never said. I've never phrased it that way. But yeah, it's fun. It's added to the experience, and I'm sure Teeny's a huge fan. I know they recognized Asia at the very beginning from our half, right. And hopefully they feel a lot of love and support tonight, because the finale can be tough too, just because like most everyone else gets their own boot episode, and they get their flowers and they get to listen to the podcasts after about here's how they could have won or this or that. But if you're in the finale and you don't win, you kind of get yada-yada'd over a little bit. And they're like, yeah, they didn't win, whatever, let's talk about the winner. So yeah, shout out to Teeny for sure.
Yeah. Shout out Teeny. We'll give you your flowers here. I like to think I'm a friend of the new era contestants. Owen, is that?
No, for sure. Yeah, you've been extremely welcoming, and everyone I talk to has done the podcast always says like how much fun they had, and he's not as scary as he seems. No one actually said that, but no, no one actually said that.
I've heard that about me. I've heard that about myself before, so I was like, "Tell me who."
No one actually
said that to you. Honestly,
you said that to him,
I think I've literally said, I've been like, you seem so much scarier on TV, and then I meet you, and you're just so kind, and you're welcoming, and like you're open to listening to new era, contestants, and like giving them advice about just how to live. It's really cool.
I'm giving them advice about how to live.
Yeah, it's like, it's weird. So you do it without realizing it. You're really good at it. I don't know if you ever realized it, but when you talk to everybody, you give them a little bit of, advice as people coming out of Survivor, and how to, deal with a lot of regrets or just things like that. I think you're really good at it. So another thing to add to
wow.
if
Now
you
we're
want to
giving
brag
Tyson
about
his
that a little
flowers.
bit.
Look at that.
Yeah,
That's
wow.
What a compliment.
Yeah, you're really good at it.
Now give one to Owen.
Okay. Owen, you're so handsome.
Oh, thank you.
Did I give any advice to Owen yet or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
All right.
Not
I'll
yet.
keep
Think
thinking
it's
of something.
I'll listen back tomorrow and take notes.
Yeah. This season, we've mostly done new era contestants, and I have to say, I really, really loved our guests this season.
Up until today.
I think the camaraderie is because you all love Survivor. So even unless your experience is absolutely atrocious, which there have been a few, most people are very happy to be part of it now and to have fulfilled some life dream that they've had. And so I think that overall adds a positivity to those people when they come off, even if they haven't won. There isn't that bitterness that there used to be.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I still have that bitterness. And I wasn't a lifelong fan. And like, I'll still look at stuff and be like, God, how are they getting accolades still like 10 years on when that should have been mine? Those accolades could have and should have been mine, and they're not. And I don't think that happens as much because I think that like when you've watched something for so long and it's been just a TV show and then all of a sudden you're part of the TV show, then there's automatic celebration within the community amongst yourselves.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Like imagine if Jelinski had been on season 16 instead of 46 and he comes out as a 19-year-old, he thinks he's a legend, and then he shits the bed. Like that would have been devastating for that kid's life. And now he's out there making Jelinski jokes every day. And he's such a good sport about it. Like I couldn't have handled it.
We would have
like
harassed him relentlessly.
Yeah.
Relentlessly. And
Oh.
he wouldn't have taken it at all. Like it's like and now like he's such a great sport. We'll have him on the show here at some point.
Yeah, he's quite a fella. Yeah. Love that kid.
He sure is. So fire making, we talked about the wind. We talked about like Sam almost gave up. Like it was crazy. Teeny had the flame going for so long that it was touching the cord. What went wrong? Was it just the wind? Is that a greater power? Is that like Teeny, you can't have $1 million yet. It's going to be
Survivor gods.
Survivor gods. Seriously. I mean, that was
23 is very young to win $1 million.
Yeah, we don't want you to ruin your life.
I don't know how everyone would handle $1 million at 23, but I would have spent it on the dumbest shit. Just to prove that I could buy the dumbest shit.
100%.
And then it would be gone. And then I'd be a manager at a bike shop till forever. And it would be fine, whatever. But it would have made me worse. It wouldn't have made me better.
No,
winning $1 million at 23 would not have made me better.
No, I wouldn't have known what a high yield savings account or a Roth IRA was when I was 23.
And you wouldn't have cared.
No, it would have been like my checking account, and I would have bought a lot of alcohol
with
random
zero return on it. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you would have been like, and Winners at War, I got paid $50,000 for Winners at War.
Nice.
And I was so mad at getting $50,000 instead of $2 million
that
I
quite
purposely left it in my checking account and didn't do anything with it for like 8 months.
That's hilarious.
And I had the bank calling once a week.
Like, are you sure you want to leave this in there?
You sure you just want to leave this here? You're not doing it?
It gets 0.04%. Are you sure you don't want to check out anything?
Yeah. All we have to do is move it over 1 and you're getting 4.5%. And I was like, no.
That's so funny.
Leave it.
Keep it in there.
That's so funny. I love that's such a random behind the scenes story, but that's hilarious. I love that.
If I would have bought Dogecoin with it, I'd be a billionaire.
Yeah. Who would have known?
And I even knew about Dogecoin back then.
Oh my gosh. I have like $20 in Dogecoin right now.
Yeah.
It's only going up to the moon.
Just got to keep it there. Leave it there.
Hold on to that. Oh my God. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the wind, like I still want to talk about this wind. Like it came out of nowhere. It blew Teeny's flame, but Sam's was not hindered.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. Block it with your body, move it with your hands.
Do something. But
also, could you build like a platform of sticks up to the thing and then just start a little fire on the
maybe
like
that
a
would
stage?
be really tough to do. Gabler kind of did something akin to that where he called it his log cabin strategy. And he built this like Lincoln log looking square for his thing. And that protected it from the wind. And he got it. I mean, he had the fastest fire up until Heidi. So up until like a month later, but still like it seemed to have worked. But that could be the next level strategy. You do the House of Cards challenge up until the line and then just make a baby fire on top.
Just make a baby fire on top. Yeah.
When you go back, that's the move. That's the move.
Or, and Jeff probably wouldn't allow this, if I'm going to be touching the fire anyway, scoop it and lift it up to the...
It's like, if you're willing to burn your hands, give me the money, Jeff.
You know, I'm not going to lie, when Sam was first having like a lot of issues with making fire, like practicing fire. And he was like, oh, you know, at least I have my family letters right here. I thought he was going to
burn
them in or something.
I thought that too. I thought that could have been a nice like visual. If it had been a movie, I think he may have done that. The writers would have done that. But
thank you, Father. Your love burns on.
Your love has fueled me to victory.
Yeah.
Sam, it would have worked.
It would have been brilliant. Maybe he would have won. We had a butterfly effect all the way to the end. We don't know now. We can never know.
But I really think it was just like crappy luck, really. And I mean, good composure by Sam, but I don't know what else Teeny could have done. Wasn't there? Didn't Wendell say something about like wanting to choose a certain station for fire? Isn't there like some statistical like I don't remember exactly, but I feel like there was talk about that around his season.
I do actually. That does ring familiar to me too. I think, choose a side that was less open to the wind or one that's got a higher probability of win rate because of the mathematics of watching the seasons, which the sample size is way too small to ever come up with any mathematical equation to sit there. But you could definitely find the less windy of the two sides.
That makes me upset. Like, it just...
There's all variables in Survivor. Like...
I know everything's a freaking trick. You can't just do anything.
And it's a roll of a dice. Even the stations of which challenge station you have to take is a roll of the die. And sometimes you're in the ocean on those platforms and you're on the outside one, so the waves are hitting you first, or the waves are hitting you hardest.
You're kidding me.
And then even like these ones where you had that big pull and lift, like if you're tall, it's a little bit easier to reach that stuff.
What the heck?
It's just all of it. And then like, you know, a lot of luck, but also, and it's luck. And then based off of, whatever. So you make it as fair as you can, but like you're outside in the wild. There's going to be some variables.
Yeah. That's why I stay inside.
You're
where everything is
seasoned indoors. You got variables. You got your dog unplugging your stuff. So nowhere is safe.
Oh, she's wild though. She belongs to outside, that dog.
Tyson, I'm glad you mentioned that we did get to check this episode out early, because it was funny watching the live tweets as the fire challenge was happening and knowing what happened, but just seeing everyone being like, Sam, you idiot. Sam, you should have, this is so anticlimactic. You should have practiced, you bum. And then watching it turn and being like, wait a second. So that added a nice layer to the viewing experience, like knowing what was going to happen.
I mean, imagine if there were still Vegas lines on all this stuff. We would have halfway through the fire making challenge dumped all our cash on
all
Sam.
of our Dogecoin into Sam. Yeah,
exactly. Probably paying like 60 to 1 odds or something for the win at that point.
Yeah, if only.
Yeah, it really was pretty crazy. The finalists go back to camp. Can you tell us about that breakfast? I mean, I love that breakfast.
It's pretty delicious. It's funny. Ours, they almost dropped ours getting out of the boat. They caught a huge wave.
They would have gotten another one.
Oh, thank God. I was really concerned. Like it felt like slow motion watching the boat and these lovely Fijian people.
Just the elements, man.
I was just like, oh, don't drop it. But you're on such a high. Like it really was incredible. Just like even seeing like the tiny bananas that they had and like the bacon, and we had banana pancakes, and it was just, you just feel so like on top of the world. Like that was one of my favorite days, obviously. just because like it feels so celebratory. Like it really is. Like,
yes.
you beat 15 people, you beat 18 people or 17 people. Like you feel very accomplished, and just like it almost feels like, even though like I knew I had a very slim chance of winning, it felt like there was so much possibility in the day. Like you're in such a good mood. You have a little mimosa. You get your gigantic
There's
breakfast.
no more slitting throats.
Yeah, exactly. Your torch is not getting snuffed, and it's just me talking. And then you get to have your last confessional and think about final tribal, what you're going to say. And I don't know. It's a beautiful day. It really felt rewarding in and of itself to get that. And and we even had, I think there were 4 types of bacon on our spread. It was great.
Oh.
Yeah.
Should we start like a camp, not a survivor camp, but like a survivorists camp where it's just the final day? And it's just like everybody come on
outdoor
out,
bed and breakfast,
have outdoor breakfast, and contemplate life for a little bit, and what you've learned and what's made you better, what's made you worse, and then send you off home.
Some fans would pay for
that's
that.
Cute.
They definitely would. It's like it's like the antithesis of some of those like hyper masculinity retreats that Joe Anglim does. It's like
where you just bury yourself alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Scream in each other's faces at point blank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do that, except we just give them delicious breakfast.
We give them blueberries.
Yeah, talk about all their achievements. Yeah,
I'm in.
Perfect.
I'm in.
We're in business.
So you said that the high what made it so delicious, or do you think like if you ate that same food right now, would it be as good or close to as good? No,
I don't think so.
Because I let loose a little bit. I cooked the pancakes in bacon fat.
Oh hell yeah!
Ooh.
Oh yeah! Have you done that at home since? Like I feel like that would hold up at home, maybe.
Yeah, no, it holds up at home, but I'm 45, dude. Like I got it, and I got kids. I got to live as long as I can.
Fair.
Yeah, real bacon is by itself a rare treat, but
to cook
to fry my pancakes in there.
Ooh.
Just asking
Living
for
on
a
the
bypass.
wild side.
Yeah.
No, there's definitely something to it. Just like the finality of it, and just like feeling accomplished. Like it really is. And like in our case, it was like, oh my God, like how did we get here? Like I'm sure it feels a little different. Or like equally satisfying, but in a different way if you've been in the power. Yeah.
It's a relief. It's just like, because you can see your house of cards crumbling as people are like, it's Tyson. Hey guys, it's Ben Tyson. And you can feel it. So to get there, you're just like,
I did it. Yeah.
We got there. Yeah. We got there without it all falling apart. Mm-hmm. So it's just like a sense of relief.
Interesting. Yeah. Versus on my end of the spectrum, it was more like, holy shit, I did it. Like I'm here. How did that happen? So it's satisfying in a different way for sure.
Yeah.
But that breakfast is pretty unrepeatable, I think. Like that's it's hard to recreate that.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Cool. It's happy for them. And then even like I love the way they picked the visuals for where the people were sitting in their interviews, like Rachel saying like I was backed into a corner and all I had to do was kick ass, and then they have her like in a tree, like it looked like she was in a cave or something. Like I really think they try to get creative with that. And
they didn't know what she was gonna say before.
That's true. That's a valid counterpoint. I will say this is just feeding into my theory that I think production maybe thought Cassidy was going to win because they filmed her on top of a mountain and they filmed Gabler like in a cave by the water.
Okay.
So my theory is that they were like, oh yes, we'll show the victor on top, and then, but who knows? That's just me like hyper analyzing production and like trying to guess what they were doing. But
so are you often right when you hyperanalyze like that, or
like 50-50? Like 50-50. I clocked it when I think it was the Saul vote, when I was like, Sue and Kyle's confessionals look really bright. Like, I don't think these are from before Tribal. I think they picked those up the next day.
Oh,
and I was right.
Chronological one, yeah.
One of them. But
that's nice.
Oh, this episode, I also really liked how they did the jury segment, and they kind of combined it with the rites of passage.
I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I liked it. I liked the jury talking. I wanted to know, did you get any reads from what the jury talked about? Because what happens here, everyone, is probably Jeff Probst and company shows up to Ponderosa, It's like, we're going to do this. Maybe Probst isn't there, but production is there. And they're like, we need a person to talk about everybody. Like, so they come in and they're like, who do you think is probably going to win, or who are you voting for in the moment? Talk about them. But then at a certain point, if everybody's like, we're voting Rachel, then somebody's like, Gabe, can you talk about Sue instead? Like, that's how, like, because you need something for everybody.
Yeah.
So I did like it. But like, know that that's like a group hype and a misdirect.
Little manufactured.
Yeah.
And you can definitely see like the variance in their responses, where Kyle's like, Sam deserves to win because of this, versus some people are like, Sue's loyal. It's like,
if she wants to win, as long as she proves her loyalty was her game, she might have a chance.
Yeah. Or Sue played like Sue. Or it was like Sue played Sue's way. It's like not exactly a ringing endorsement, but it's sweet. I'm glad everyone gets a little bone there. I was surprised. Like, I think it was Noelle and Carla, or maybe Sammy and Noelle. Either way, I was like a little surprised. I was like, oh, 2 people said nice things leading into it. Like, it is good for everyone to get something. But that's interesting, just like how the jury, how Ponderosa, how the jury house works in that, like from the production side, because like the game's over, but then they still have a show to produce. So I don't know, but I thought it was nice. It was good that they showed the clips of the people, and it did make me miss, like, if we got a flashback to John Lovett. I'm sure Jeff would have loved that, getting to see John one more time. But I thought it was good. I thought they kind of nailed the hybrid there, getting kind of both accomplished.
Yeah. And I know also, for someone, when you get voted out early, anytime the show includes you again in the season, even after your vote out, is like a bonus.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that these jury members watching from home were excited. Like, even like the opening credits, you didn't have the opening credits on your season. And for you, it doesn't matter as much because you went the full distance. You were in every episode. But for some of those people, like, being in the credits every episode through the season is a special thing.
Yeah, I can imagine so. And like, look at Keyshawn this year getting so much content over the past couple of weeks. Like, for what? He was out 4th or something. Like, he was like haunting Genevieve for the rest of the season. So I'm sure he really got tickled by that. That was great.
Yeah. Are him and Genevieve friends in real life now, do you think?
I imagine so. I hope so. I don't know. Genevieve seems like a really nice person. Like, it's interesting because she said she's like wanted to put up these walls and like play this tough game, but I felt like that went against her nature. To me, it felt like almost like painful for her to do that. And like, she knew, like, to make the business trip easier, she would have to do it. But she seems like a really nice person to me. So I hope they're fine. Their cast seems pretty tight from what I've gathered. I haven't really gone to any of the huge parties, and I don't live in New York or LA, so I can't go to as much as some other people, but they seem like they're pretty cohesive, which is good.
Except for Rome,
probably. Yeah. Yeah, probably.
I think there is some beef with.
I imagine there is. Have you? And I don't know if we should talk, but there's been some speculation that his rap that he did for Rob and that some of his exit press may have accidentally or not, like, discussed the order in which people went out. So I'm sure people may not have been happy about that.
I'm gonna look into that.
I saw something like that, but I've only seen like Twitter things of like.
Yeah, I never sought it out because once I saw people talking about it, it's like, well, I'm not watching that because I don't want to. But who knows? But even if there's an inkling of that, I can't imagine the rest of the cast took that well. Probably.
Yeah. I also had Rachel DM me this week
and
say she is a big fan of the podcast and told me I'm awesome, which is the first way. Like, if you're a contestant, that's how you get in. Like, there's no quicker way to my heart than just a little ego pump.
Like, yes, I am. Thank you, Rachel.
I'm here. What do you need?
Do you want to come on the show this week?
Yeah. Can you? Yeah. I was like, and she was like, Caroline's answer to your question last week was so spicy and great. How come you didn't comment on it? And I was like, it's true. Even watching it, Caroline gave us gold, and it's everything we hope for when we send these questions in for the most recently booted cast member. And then Caroline gave us the top one of the season so far. And I didn't even comment on it. And it's because it's all pre-recorded and I didn't even think to do that. And I wish I would have now, but shout out, Caroline. Thank you for giving what you gave, because it was exactly
good.
What we wanted. So, yeah. So again,
if you want to get on the Pod Has Spoken, DM Tyson. Tell him he's awesome.
Owen didn't. I even looked again.
I know.
Scrolled to the top. I was like,
not a peep. Not a peep. It's a miracle I'm here, honestly. So.
Yeah.
Extra
really
flattered I got the invite. I know.
Yeah. You just came highly recommended. So I thought, why not give it no. I knew you'd be a good fit here. So, and that's what we do here is if you're a good fit for us, then you will be on the podcast at some point. If you want to be. Okay. So we get the jury talking, and then these three are getting ready to go. What do you think of Sue's read on Sam and Rachel high-fiving as they obviously they weren't, she didn't say high five as they're high-fiving in the confessional. That was some camera trickery, but still hilarious.
Really good. Really good. And I felt for Sue, because I think we all kind of knew that it was going to be a two-way competition there at Final Tribal. And so
what is that feeling though? Like, you're there. Did you feel that? And if you did feel that, what actions can you take? Can you at least like fuck with those guys a little bit, or like undercook the bacon at the breakfast, or do something like to just like,
undercook the bacon?
Yeah.
Well,
right? Wouldn't it then like make them sick?
That's so
like,
funny.
I don't know. Do something.
I don't know what she could have done, and I can't really speak to it because
not to win, just to like fuck with
just
them.
to really like get your last laugh in.
Just get your last laugh and be like, I know I'm not going to win, but
I didn't burn their favorite shirt or something. I didn't like accidentally drop it in the fire, accidentally kick their bag in.
Yes. Yeah. Shave their eyebrow before
that might be
put
they're
dirt
sleeping.
on their face.
That happened on Top Chef once, and that got someone kicked off. So maybe not that maneuver.
Yeah, okay.
But there's some psychological
dirt all over their faces, so that Sue's actually like
with dirt.
Everyone
no, you don't
said
touch
I was dirty,
no
but
touching.
now look at you.
No touching.
Yeah. Just get in their face and just blow dirt on them. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm sure that was frustrating for her because, no matter how you think you're going to do or how many votes you think you're going to get, you think there's a chance at least. And like,
you hope there's a chance.
Hope there's a chance. And to just like, I'm sure they weren't even like, no way they were like, haha, look at us, first and second place. There's no way that's what they were saying. But when you're feeling like you're the underdog and you might be getting third, like, I'm sure anything like that would feel pretty crappy. So I don't know what else she could have done there. It's a tough spot to be in. And that, I think, speaks to like the final three being imperfect in a lot of ways, but there are plenty of final twos where it was a runaway and there's a goat there too. So I don't know. I wish they would mix it
final up. You're thinking final 17 and the one person voted out chooses the winner?
I think that's perfect. John Lovett decides who wins among the other 17 people, and the only person who has wronged him is Andy. So it's just a total wild card for how it's going to go. That would be something else.
I mean, also, like, I say, like, Sue should have messed with them, but you brought up the great point. There's still a hope. You're still hoping that something happens or that somebody sticks their foot in their mouth or that you get everything you wanted to say and the jury receives it perfectly. Mm-hmm. And I think that is honestly, because there's not like policemen out there and stuff. There's security-ish guys and there's camera guys and stuff like that.
There's kipping,
but Brandon Hance should have happened way more than just a single Brandon Hance as far as people losing their cool so much that violence was almost imminent. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the reason it doesn't is because there's always a hope.
Yeah.
It's like, I could blow this whole shit up, but there's a little bit of hope. I got a glimmer of hope. And if I do that, there'll be no hope. So it's crazy. Like that's, if you want to rule a country, just keep giving the people a sliver of hope so that they don't blow the whole thing to smithereens.
Don't give anyone any ideas, Tyson. We have
Apostolvania. Here we come.
Who's in? Who's coming with me?
It's a pretty good pitch. I get a sliver of hope and $50,000 in my checking account with no interest. Perfect.
No interest.
You can't touch it though.
Yes. and and a sliver of hope.
There you go. Sounds great.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we're selling this holiday season.
Beautiful.
Sliver of hope for everyone.
And a Nature Tyson t-shirt.
Yes. I don't even know if I still have those, but if we do, you can have them.
Oh, amazing.
Final Tribal Council.
It's a good fight.
It was a great fight.
Yeah.
What stood out to you the most here? Because I know you took notes. I usually tell my guests, don't take notes, I'll take the notes. But you said you'll take the notes, and the finale is a different beast here at the Pod Has Spoken, because we don't have all day to prepare for it. So I let you take the notes too.
I did not let, they're actually over here on my screen, but I thought the questions were pretty good. Gabe's was kind of funny. He said, how do you think your game will be remembered? / like, is that even
care?
something care? Yeah. Do you care? Which was funny coming from him, because I remember the first time we ever saw Gabe in the preview, he said, I want to be the first head on the Mount Rushmore. And I was just like, who is this guy? But I really came to like Gabe, and he really, to jump ahead a little, when he let Sue answer the final question, that earned him so many points in my book. Because I'm sure Sue knew it was just Rachel, Sam, just a back and forth. And that's how I felt. It's like, oh my God, like they don't really care what I have to say. Like, this sucks. I know Ben Katzman's talked about that. I know Xander's talked about that. Jake's talked about that. Like, it's just pretty defeating when you see, the check just like floating away. So I respect Gabe a lot for being like, Sue, can you answer that question for me? So I thought that was very sweet. And I thought Rachel's first answer was really strong, like the underdog to threat narrative, scrappy. And that I appreciate that she said she didn't care what people thought. Like, I thought that was pretty honest and blunt. But it is interesting because this whole tribal, they were kind of giving the same pitch. They were trying to sell the same product, in that I was left out. I was the underdog, and here I am now as a threat, and I deserve to win now. And it's been a little since I watched Blood versus Water, but was that kind of like you and Jervis kind of had a similar, since you were in lockstep for most of the game, were y'all trying to kind of pitch the same thing? Or
I thought we would, and I thought that's why I wanted to take Monica and Jervis, because we're all guilty of the same sins. We all have the blood on our hands, and then we'll all be fighting for the same thing. And I've won the immunities, found the idols, so I have some extra credit. And then it didn't go that way at all. Like, everybody gave me credit for everything. And that's the thing. Like, even if you did it, you can't take credit if the jury isn't going to believe you, because then it just hurts your game even more.
Right. It makes you look delusional. Yeah.
It makes you look delusional. And then they just think you're a full liar. They're like, there's no need to lie now. You're there. Tell us the truth. And so, like, Andy getting to the end this season would have been that. It would have been him trying to convince everyone that he was the mastermind without anything to show or prove for it. I think he would have had an uphill battle. And who knows how the last day or few days play out for him. So, but in that moment where he got eliminated, that would have been a very tricky final jury for him. And so, for me, it didn't go that way, but I kind of thought it would. And then when it didn't, I was like, oh, okay. And I think they just kept asking us different questions. And I think the jury had already kind of decided at Ponderosa that I was going to win, because they all decided of the three that I was the one they'd most be happy to lose to.
The most palatable.
The most palatable. Like, at least if we lose to him, it looks like he played a game. So
he did.
But that's how it is. It's like all these people are like, oh, I have such, like, taking pause in the little confession booth at the end. I'm like, who gives a shit, dude? It's not you. Slap a name on there. Like, that's how I feel. I'm just like, what name's the shortest and fastest to write?
Let me go sit back down. I want my pizza.
Yeah, I haven't eaten for like a half hour since we were in the tent before we walked out to the jury. Yeah, but I also liked how you say Rachel didn't care about the legacy, but Sam, on the other hand, was like, I want people to admire me.
Yeah.
Which are you? Are you like, I don't care about my legacy, or please love me?
I think I would have been honest and been like, yeah, I want to be respected. Like, I want to be viewed as like I want to confirm to myself and have people affirm that I was not crazy for thinking I could do well on the show. So that was part of it for me. Yeah, because just had gotten so obsessed with Survivor. I've been thinking all the time about like, what would I do? How would I do it? And then I get there, and then I do make the end, but I know it didn't go as like to plan and as well as I thought. But yeah, that was a big thing for me. And then I respect them both for their answers because they both felt authentic. Like I really do think Sam, like as much as Teeny had been propping him up as this like Captain America, handsome, tall, athletic white dude, like, he's prom king, like he's a theater kid, he's like a theater kid at heart. Like I'm sure he has his own insecurities and has gone through his own journey too. And I think I respected him being, then he kind of like chuckled through it as almost like, yeah, I admit it. Like I do care that I'm admired. And then I really liked Sue's answer. I thought that was sweet, talking about her grandson and that, nice guys can finish first. I thought that was or third. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I liked it too, though. I kind of was like, okay, she might get some votes here. She might get some votes. It's always tricky at tribal council to bring up stuff like that because people are like, that's just a load of shit. You want the money and you're trying to pull at our heartstrings.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a Survivor player, you're always like, what is their motive right now? What are they like? I'm listening to Sue and like I have a read on Sue and I'm like, yeah, that's accurate. That's probably accurate. That's exactly her truth. But as a jury, I'm just like, you're just trying to pull at my heart. My heart is black. You can't do anything. It's a coal. It's a lump of coal in my chest. So, yeah. So I'd be like, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, fact check. Does she have a grandson?
Yeah. Yeah. How old is this little shit anyway? Is he even real? They seem genuinely shocked. And I wonder if they were like putting on to be nice or if they actually are shocked that she's, because like, I don't know.
To us, she doesn't look the same age as me, right? Does she? I'm 45.
Mm-hmm. No, I would not say so. I would not have guessed she was 59, but I would not have guessed 45 either. She looks great. All that to say, but it was funny seeing
they all were shocked.
They were all shocked. I don't know if Caroline was. Caroline didn't really react, and Caroline had some pretty wild faces during the fire making, so I know her face is capable of contorting.
Reactionary,
but she did not
a lot.
really. Yeah, I love her. She's just
having
like
so much fun.
Nice. Yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh, I want to sit with her if I ever. Which I don't think I would ever do Survivor because I'm a baby. I can't do anything. But if I ever did Survivor and I ended up on the jury, I would somehow want her to be next to me because I feel like I would just have a really good time just going, oh, and it's not over dramatic. Like some people do it a little too much and you're like, okay, you're just trying to get on TV, my guy. Chill out. But she was genuinely having a good time. And I was like, oh, I really do like her right now. She's so cool.
Yeah, she seems very earnest and genuinely sweet and like gasses everybody up. And even her voting confessional for Rachel, she's like, I'm so excited to be voting for you.
Yeah.
And it felt authentic. It didn't feel like BS.
It really did.
Yeah, I like Caroline a lot. Let's see. What other good questions? I liked the biggest mistake question that Caroline asked. And it's interesting because Rachel and Sam were trying to say kind of the same thing. It's like, I got blindsided early and then I recovered. And this is where I thought Sam was doing better because he was pointing out more specific things, whereas Rachel was talking in more like generalities. I felt like Sam seemed to like talk specifically about actual actions, actual votes, like very hyper specific instances, whereas Rachel kept it more surface level. And maybe that was the edit just to make it seem more competitive. But I don't know. Did y'all pick up on that a lot? When did you feel like it was getting potentially towards a competitive vote here?
I mean, I thought when he made fire and he screamed, like, what did he scream?
Let's go.
Still got a chance or
I don't remember.
Find a way to find a way.
Find a way to find a way.
There it is.
Yeah, he said find a way to find a way and was like,
That's right.
And then did it. I was kind of like, okay, the jury's watching him. And he said exactly the thing that has been like the thing he's been doing the last half of this game is finding a way to find a way. And so I was like, okay, he surmised that perfectly and in this moment. And then when it started and he was like, scrappy, never gave up on myself, all of that. But I think in these moments, I do think he put up a great fight, but I also like it again. What the jury believes is true is going to help, and what the jury thinks you're BSing about is going to hurt you. And so, in these moments when he was putting on a fight, where Rachel was like, "I had to go down and spy on him," and then Sam was like, "That conversation was a ruse," and everybody's like,
like, come on,
was
yeah.
it?
So I think those moments hurt. Like, even though we're watching him fight and scrap, and we're like, "Yeah, get in those jabs." Like those jabs, if they're not honest or if the jury doesn't think they're real, are going to ultimately hurt your game or kill your game. And so, like, is that why he only got one vote? Perhaps, like, not just that moment, but multiple moments like that, where as a viewer, we're watching and saying, like, yeah, he's fighting. But the jury is like, he's fighting, but it's desperation. And that's not actually the truth. So, like, what can we even take from him as truth?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great point.
Yeah.
So that's my read on it. Like, because we watched the episode, we didn't see the votes revealed initially. And then when we saw them revealed, I was like, it's going to go one of two ways. It's going to be close because the jury bought Sam's arguments, or it's not. And it's because he jabbed too hard and they weren't truthful jabs.
Yeah. And it came across as like desperate or something.
Yes.
Yeah. There was another moment where I thought Rachel maybe left like opportunity on the table, was when Saul asked, like, tell me one thing that would blow my mind. I thought she was going to talk about her shot in the dark play to figure out if she needed to use her idol or not. Because people had been speculating about this, and I think y'all may have talked about it, because Rachel said she found it after Sierra went home, but in reality, she had it before. So I thought she was going to hit him with that, and that would just be like, wrap it up. She won. I don't know. Did you notice that or think about, like, would she talk about that?
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, because that play is levels and layers and playing chess, and it would have been very powerful. And in that moment, nobody would have known that. So I do think that that probably would have been a nail in the coffin.
She would have got that last vote.
If she said that and we watched that, we would have said that was the nail in the coffin.
So maybe she did say it, and they just didn't show us because,
or she didn't need to say it anyways and still won. And then could have been either or. Though, but that, I mean, final tribal councils last hours. So I don't know how long. How long was your final tribal council?
Probably pushing 3. Probably pushing 3 hours.
Golly,
I had to guess.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Sounds
When you said
exhausting.
certain people talk a lot, Gabler was our long talker.
Oh my goodness!
Long-winded.
Oh no!
A little long-winded.
And he still won, even with the long wind.
Yes, he did. He sure did. He
That's
cleaned
gotta
up
hurt just a little bit more. I said that's got to hurt just a little bit more,
a tiny bit. But it makes me feel not delusional about it for thinking it was long-winded, because there was a moment where Jeff and I locked eyes and kind of just went like he's kind of going on.
He's
here.
still going.
He's still going. So I know it was long. I know objectively he talked a lot, but he was able to get it all out. But it is crazy because, like, I guess tonight was a little shorter. I wonder, like, how long the segment was compared to normal years where it's a 3-hour finale, but it felt pretty succinct and like just
did.
It's like five big questions really was all it was.
I thought it was very tight too. What do you think about Mike and Ben catching some strays?
Yeah, that was me. I'm sure you like that, but
hilarious. Yeah.
But that was like, I appreciate like the context of it, but it's also just like, man, we're never beating the new era being superfan dork allegations anytime soon. Like, we are who we are. And I almost brought this up earlier when you were talking about people fact checking Sam saying, he voted correctly 8 times. Like, Andy in his head is like, well, on Survivor Wiki, they wouldn't have counted that because of this. Like, we all know and read and listen to so much about the show. But I thought that was a valid argument. And I think that's where Sam started fighting back the most. And I wonder if it came off the way we received it as the audience. But it's like I don't know if she answered it that well necessarily, just because, like, it's hard to objectively like talk around being left out of the vote 3 times. There's like not a whole lot of ways to defend that.
I mean, she just leaned into it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get people to do my bidding, so I had to rely on other means, the advantages, the idols, the immunity wins, and just be like, look, I didn't play the way I thought I would be able to play, so I found a different way, and that's the way that I did. Like that, I think in those moments too, you do have to lean into some of that stuff and be like, yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
And Sam did get revved up there, and
he pounced
on it. And the back and forth was fun. I like the back and forth. I think that I don't think there's enough of that. I historically throughout time, I don't think there's enough for it. I don't think there's always people fighting, but it's that same thing. Like there's that sliver of hope. So like you can't fight too hard or it's going to be bad.
Right.
So it's like, what is the balance of maintaining that sliver of hope, but doing yourself a little bit more of a favor? But like, it's so hard there.
It really is. Yeah. And that same with me. It's like, I don't want to come off like a petulant child, worst case scenario. You know, it's like, what do you even do there? But I respected it a lot. I thought it was good. And I think for Sam, he in his head was this underdog. And I think Rachel was pitching this underdog arc, but she knew she was the favorite going in, and she had the stranglehold on the last couple rounds. And like even Jeff's preamble to the whole episode was like Rachel, because
I noted that too. Rachel
really,
hype.
Yeah, huge Rachel hype. And that at first I was like, okay, here we go. It's just let's give Rachel the crown. But at this point, I wasn't sure. And I respected it a lot. But your point was right, Tyson. Like sometimes you just have to punt on a question or on a point and not pretend and make it more than it needs to be, and not be like, no, you fell into my hand the whole time. I wanted to be underestimated. Like sometimes you just got to say like, yeah, that's a function of the game. It's outwit, outplay, and outlast. And like those rounds I had to win challenges or use an idol. And I think she made a good point, like pointing out like my social game led to a lot of this stuff, and it had been creative. And I imagine she probably talked about her block-a-vote coming from that crazy puzzle board that got yanked into the ocean. Like she had to work for it. Like it's really not like they just appeared at camp. Like she really had to hustle. So yeah, mad respect.
Yeah. I think Rachel, clear winner. Editing gave us a little bit of a Sam like underdog threat, but didn't really come to pass. Anything else here?
I already talked about Gabe letting Sue answer there. I thought the Sierra's question of like, how did you push through like the tough times? I thought Sam's answer was really sweet and received well by the jury. Like he said, he didn't want to let his 6-year-old self down. And then this was probably editing, but there was a moment where when Rachel was like, I've had a ton of successes in my personal life. And then like, I almost was like, no, like, don't say that.
Yeah.
Like,
I did say that too.
Billionaire.
Exactly. Like it reminded me of like Brian Heidick's video from home showing off his hot wife and his fancy car and his huge house. You know, I was like, wait, are they not going to like that? Like, but that was just me overthinking and just being like, maybe, I don't know. It's because I think in my head, I want as much of a competition as possible and as like close of a vote as possible. Like I said to Sammy, right, as the votes were going, I was like, I want Rachel to win, but I do want Sam to get a couple votes here. Like he worked hard. He worked hard and he fought hard. And he did great. He did great.
Yeah. I thought that too when she said that she'd accomplished a lot, but she got off of that pretty quick and then went to her husband and how she
doesn't celebrate it enough and she doesn't feel comfortable, like bragging about herself. And she got me off that train of thinking pretty quickly, but there was a moment of panic for me where it's like, oh my God, where's this going to go? Where's this going to go?
But the other thing too is like the end game of Survivor, you do have to brag about yourself. And that's not an easy thing I don't think it's an easy thing for almost anybody initially. I'm so much better at bragging about myself after I've been on Survivor so many times than I was before. I would never, like people would be like, what do you do? I'd be like, not really anything. And then I'd be like, so like, what do you do for money? I was like, I'm a professional cyclist. And they're like, holy shit, what do you do? I'm like, I just ride bikes and race. And they're like, oh, what tricks? I was like, I can ride uphill. with a 200 beats per minute on my heart for like 10, 15 minutes before I get really, really tired. Like
Wow.
and people
That's
be
actually
like, "Oh
insane." Quick sidebar.
Yeah.
That's insane, Tyson. Golly.
I mean, I used to
I
be
like
pretty
that.
cool.
Mhm.
Used to be pretty cool. So, but that's the thing is like it's not easy. But
Mhm.
Survivor, you have to sell yourself,
Yeah.
and you have to sell, like, not even at the final tribal, but throughout the entirety. Like, you have to sell something to everyone the
Mhm.
entire time, and then at the end, you have to sell specifically yourself.
Yeah. And prior to
And
that, you can't do it too much because then you'll get voted out as being a threat. And that's the whole
yes,
that's the whole game. It's like,
Yeah.
you want people to see your value, but not see you as a threat to them. And it's a weird calculus. And you're doing all of this while you're starving and tired and just like,
yes,
just in this weird experience. So that's, I was touching on this earlier. That's why people who do well at Final Tribal impress me so much. Because I really think it's such a weird set of skills that it requires, and like a lot of intuitiveness and like reading of people and like seeing the big picture that I don't think everybody can do. Like even some of the best Survivor players have had pretty mediocre final tribals, but the strength of their game stood on its own, but the
Yeah.
being able to pitch it and talk about it and like thread the needle, like Marianne most recently, like that's a great example of someone who really turned the tide at Final Tribal. Like that takes some serious skill.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You have to know what each individual needs from you and cater to them specifically. And I mean, blood versus water, Vetus got up, told me he wasn't going to vote for me because he told me in the game he wasn't going to vote for me. I was going to say, "You're going to look like a bitter asshole on TV," but I went to say it and he shushed me. And I instantly felt my entire body flood with rage.
I can imagine. That would piss me off.
Boiling rage to shush me.
How dare
you?
After that. And I just took it on the chin. Just like, if this is what you need, Vetus, like,
let it out, buddy.
Yeah, somebody else is going to vote for me and this might actually help my cause, but rage.
Yeah.
Full rage. Like I could feel my heartbeat in my face and I could feel my face being red. Like I was so rage filled in that moment. That's crazy. You just have to suck that shit up in Survivor, in Final Tribal Council. It's like the only time where it's just like, you want to spit on my face? Okay, here you go. Spit on my face. Like you can't do anything. You just have, like, if you want $1 million, then you just got to give the jury what they need and take it.
Yeah.
So, and it sucks, but the reward is really, really great.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. A little bit of money.
Lot of money. So what is y'all's, Ashleigh, it sounds like you're not a huge fan of rankings necessarily, but what's the book on Rachel? Is she like in your top winners of all time? Is she like,
oh wow,
like is she up there, top half? Like I know it's hard when you get down to it, but yeah, what's the gut feeling?
I do think that she was a very impressive player. I think like I named her like one of the luckiest like Survivor players ever, because like it just seems like if she was to do the fire, the wind would have not moved the fire. You know what I mean? Like it's just like the Survivor gods were just like, here, you are awesome. Here's an opportunity. And she always took it. And I think that's what's really important, because I feel like just saying that she's the luckiest, person on Survivor is kind of like taken away from her actual actions. She was the one who saw the opportunities and went for it. And I just think I think she is a really fun player, and just her alone sneaking in the woods to go listen to people's conversations shows that she is like bringing a really fun energy, because I don't think they did anything like that last season or anything, or the season before either, because I don't know why. We should go back to doing some fun things that are on the edge of like, is that against the rules? I don't know. I'm gonna go sneak and do this, or I'm gonna rip open our tarp to get the idol right in front of everybody, and she took those opportunities. She got them. I don't know about, you're right, my ranking system has been flawed since I was a child, but I will say that she is definitely like top luckiest Survivor player ever, but like the little asterisk because of her actions.
The way my brain's translating that a bit, and I agree, she got a lot of breaks. I think opportunistic is a word that comes to mind. Like
opportunistic.
Like she really took what the game handed her and like really made the most out of the opportunities. And like some people on the internet have argued that like Saul saved her game and she would have been gone, but like her relationship with Saul led to that led to that advantage going to her. So yeah, I think she's a great winner. I think she like, is she like a Kim Spradlin level stranglehold on the game? No, but I think for someone who I think she showed a lot of versatility and adaptability in the game and was able to play from both the bottom and the top, which I think you don't see a lot of players do. Like, I think you think of someone like Mike Holloway, who's like playing from the bottom for the majority of the game, or you see Tom Westman or you, Tyson, like who's got a pretty good thing going for most of the post merge. Like, I think she was really able to recover and adapt super well. So I was really impressed personally. And she just seems nice. She seems like a cool person too.
She's so kind.
Yeah.
I mean, she called me awesome, so you know how I feel about her.
What do you think, Tyson?
Yeah, I think it's very hard to quantify a winner because, again, variables. Everything is different. The personality she was playing against, everything, there's the advantages that came into play. All of it is always different. I have said, people ask me like, who's the best winner of all time? And I'm like, any winner who is willing to admit that they won because of some luck is, in my mind, a good winner. Like, if you can say like, did you get lucky? When did you get lucky? And you're like, yeah, I wouldn't have been there if it weren't for some lucky moments. Then, because everybody has them. And somebody who's taking full credit for their win, no. I think you got to give it up to the Survivor gods a little bit, because it's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably even more of a crapshoot than it used to be, with advantages and the intensity of the game now. I can just imagine if there's a tribal council almost every day, that speed is ramped up and the time to do things and put things into action and to create bonds is shortened. And so that makes it an even trickier game to win. Like, you can't put, like, you could play that game 50 times and not win one time and be the most talented person there. And like, or you could win it 5 times in a row being like a medium. Like, I don't know. Like, that's what it's just. So I think, that's what she was great. I think the way she handled the things she got was perfect, strategically. And like, you can't second guess it, because like, who knows what would have happened. There's so many different things. So if somebody else would have gotten it, maybe they would have handed it to her, or they probably would have told somebody, or would have told Teeny, who then would have told everybody. So like, who knows?
Yeah.
So but definitely cool. Happy for Rachel, and welcome her to the Winners Club. And Owen, you're an honorary member here, buddy. So let's welcome her together.
Aww.
Yeah. Welcome, Rachel, and welcome Sue to the runner-up club.
Yes, Sue. And I've never been runner-up. I wish I had, instead of taking 8th and 15th and whatever other place. A runner-up would have probably felt better. I would have had more than 50,000 in my checking account. So
maybe just a little. Yeah. It's not a bad spot. Not a bad spot. It's a good club.
Yeah. It's a great club. So that's it. No predictions, unless you want to predict who the winner is of next season.
Can't even say. I didn't even watch the trailer yet. I'm excited to go watch.
I haven't either. Yeah. Wow. We got a lot to watch. Owen, thank you so much for taking the time, for being on The Pod Has Spoken. To all our listeners out there, thank you so much for all your input. You can watch us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify and anywhere else podcasts are listened to, at The Ringer Reality TV. Ashleigh, thank you for making us sound and look magnificent, as well as your input on the season, always being my ride or die, never leaving me, which
Not once.
you're my rock.
That's me.
And we will be back in a few days this weekend to talk to rumored billionaire Liz.
Oh, nice.
Give us her input on the entirety of the season. Until then, thanks everyone for tuning in. Till next time, see ya.